Now, it doesn't seem that long ago we were all talking about the slow movement, seeing value in taking time over things like eating. Well, it took a bit of time, but the counter-argument has arrived. It is a book that takes an optimistic view of our hurried lives. It's called The Great Acceleration. It sees some of the downsides of rushing things, in the media, for example, what's been called the 24-second news cycle. But ultimately, it does come down in favour. Acceleration is something we have actively chosen, says the author Robert Colvile, and he's here now. Very good evening to you. It's a sort of grand sweeping book because you explain everything in terms of
I try to.
in his theory. Let's take an example, politics today and Donald Trump. Now, fit this, because you managed to squeeze this into the kind of accelerated lives thesis. I mean, how does that fit?
Well, I mean, so Trump is in some ways a product of acceleration, and the dislocation to the economy. The fact that people are angry and feel they're losing out is because the fast-paced globalized economy. There are people who don't do well from that, and also he uses Twitter. He doesn't have campaign ads. He doesn't have an organisation. He reaches people directly with this technology. But it's more than that. I mean, Trump is the perfect sort of instant politician. Nate Silver in the US did a fascinating thing. He looked at all the coverage he's received, and he found that Trump, as we'd expect, dominated the news cycle day after day. But he never dominated it with the same story. It was even when he was like insulting the Pope. By the next day, the caravan had moved on to something else. So he could sort of chuck these grenades and then move on and chuck the next one, sort of safe in the knowledge.
So interestingly, you're kind of quite sympathetic to the Great Acceleration, but I'm guessing you're not like a big Donald Trump fan, or are you a big right? So I mean, you kind of talked against your own thesis here, because this is what you get if there's you would say.
Yeah. So I think, I mean, as you said, my thesis is that there are bad things and good things. But one of the things with the media is that it's not so much that everything gets faster. What it does is it polarizes. That you have the sort of fast-paced, instant breaking news stuff, but you also have more people than ever doing these really good, sort of considered long reads, or sort of writing analysis pieces, or I mentioned Nate Silver doing these kind of data-driven studies. There's more good stuff out there, as well as the.
Oh well, that's because books have shrunk down into sort of long reads, and long reads have shrunk down into 140 characters. Let's take another example, because I think this is an interesting one, isn't it? And you do devote a section to this, which is dating and relationships. And I think people would worry that swiping right on Tinder, or constantly going online to sort of, or speed dating is the kind of the sort of endpoint of it, isn't it? I mean, can you see any advantage in dating in numbers in that kind of way?
Absolutely. I mean, the dating is horrible in many ways. If you're out there on the market, you're trying to find the right person, and it takes ages, and you have all these meetings with people, and you don't quite click, and so just increasing the number of people you meet is sort of actually a pretty good thing. Just being able to have that thing that you, with speed dating, say, just knowing, okay, yeah, this person and I click, and the two of us should never have met in the first place. Rather than having to sort of devote the entire. But actually, I mean, even online dating isn't that efficient. I mean, they've done studies where you spend an awful lot of time honing your profile and scrolling through people and looking for looking for Mr. Right and rejecting this one.
People want online dating when you've got Tinder.
So Tinder is really instant. And, you might think, yes, I mean, yes, it leads to a hookup culture. People are much more likely to go out and have a good time, but it's hard to begrudge them that. And I don't think there's much evidence that people don't want then to eventually get married and settle down.
Now, you talk about the Great Acceleration in the book. Are you talking about your life, Robert? Because it is quite metropolitan. I can think of lots of people, elderly people sitting at home, who actually have quite pleasantly paced lives. They're not rushing around all over the place. I mean,
it is. I've been accused of being London-centric, and there's a reason for that. When we're in city, the larger the community we're in, the faster the pace of our lives. But it isn't just. Well, I hope it's not just me. I mean, everyone I meet says, oh gosh, yes, I feel my life's getting out of control. I feel it's speeding up. And apart from the people, obviously, who go off and live in the countryside, and very good luck to them. They're probably very happy.
Thanks very much indeed.